issues regarding expungement of records. If you had an issue in the past, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak to that. So we brought in somebody that can deal with that. But before I bring him on, I want to talk to you all about why I believe in second chances. A lot of you, a lot of us have had things happen in our lives that we don't like. A lot of us have had things that happen around us, happen to us, and some things were our fault, some things weren't. One of the biggest issues is to be able to take responsibility and move your life forward. So as men, that's like man law. That's probably man law number one. Take responsibility and move your life forward. So I wanted to bring somebody in that can speak to that and help us to be able to do the things we need to do. Have a handout I want to pass out, but I don't want to delay our speaker because he has a busy schedule regarding, he is a lawyer, he is a defense attorney, he's well known around Baltimore City, and he came highly recommended. So without further ado, again, because I respect his time, I want to introduce the lawyer, Mr. John Hassett, who will come and give us information, give us wisdom on how to handle issues if we've ever been in trouble with the law, and how to give ourselves a second chance. Without further ado, Mr. John Hassett.
So, without prying into anyone's background, can I just assume that everyone here is interested in getting expungements? Okay, no problem with that. Maryland law makes it very easy to get an expungement. You don't need a lawyer to do this. You can actually do this on your own. The legislature, the judges have made this process real simple. The form that you have in front of you is a district court expungement. That form is good for any district court case in Maryland. Baltimore City, Baltimore County, any jurisdiction. You can't use this form for circuit court. But if you go through this process, every circuit court's got a different form, every jurisdiction. If you go through the process with this form, you'll be able to do the circuit court forms very easy. The first form that you have is the actual petition for expungement. Now look, you're going to need your case number and a thing called a tracking number. If you still have your statement of charges when you're arrested, it's a packet, it's got a charge summary, statement of charges, and stuff like that. If you still have your charge papers, this is all you really need to fill out the form. You fill out the case number. The tracking number is the number that's down here at the bottom of the document. For some reason, the district court, you get a case number, an ID number, and they want a tracking number. They think it makes it more efficient, but it's just, you got to fill this stuff out. It will ask for the date of the offense. When you see the line that says, on such and such a date as a result of the following incident. See that line right there? Don't put in there your defense. Don't say, it was a cold day in November, I was walking outside. Put in there something to the effect of, let's say it's a theft charge. I was falsely accused of taking property. You don't need to give it the long detail. If it's a drug possession charge, the police claimed I dropped a bag on the ground. That's all you need to put in there. You don't need to put a long defense or anything like that. I was charged with the offense of just taking off the charge summary, with the charge summary. This is pretty basic stuff. If you don't have that information, there's only two other ways you can get the information. One is go to the clerk's office, the window. I'm kind of encouraging you not to do that. When you go to the window, the clerks in the state are real nice people. They're there to help you out. They're very nice. But in order for them to get all this information, they're going to have to plug it into the system. They're going to have to be giving it to you. And quite frankly, if you look over your shoulder, you may have been the first guy there in line. By the time the clerk's getting done with you, there's 20 people behind you, and it's really not fair to the clerk. So the first way you get it is off the charge papers. If you don't do that, you go to the clerk's office. Does everyone here have access to the internet? Okay. The other way you can do it is go on Maryland Case Search. And you've got this set up. If you Drop it down. No, right there. Click on it. Okay. Every state's got one of these. Virginia's got one, Pennsylvania's got one. The format's a little bit different. And click on that thing that says, I've read, understood, agreed to the terms and conditions. Don't even bother about reading. Just click on that and hit continue. All right. When you want to get your information, put your name in right here. Click on that. Hit defendant, criminal. You know where your case was, district or circuit court. Let me stop right here. If you have multiple cases, you're trying to run your name, just hit criminal and hit search. No, you don't. Right now. That will give you every jurisdiction, circuit, and district court. If you're limited to Baltimore City, Baltimore County, District Court, or Circuit Court, just click criminal. If it's district court, click right here in district court. Right here, click on that for a second. There's all your jurisdictions. Just click on Baltimore City, Baltimore County, wherever it may be. That's all you need to do. If you have trouble doing that, get like a 10-year-old to do it, because these kids know how to do this stuff far better than you guys do. So, when you go on that line, though, it's not going to give you some information. It will give you your case number, it will give you a date or report, what happened to your case. It won't give you, in most cases, the tracking number, and it won't tell you how to describe the incident. So you're going to need maybe some help with that. But this is a very easy process. So you get all that information. Here's the part where kind of the rubber hits the road, where this might be bad news for some guys. Paragraph 3 says on or about, and put the date that you were in court. And all you have to do is check one of those boxes. First one, you were acquitted. That means you were found not guilty. The second one, the case was dismissed. Third one, it's a PDJ. Fourth is a null prosecute, and it goes all down the list. In Maryland, you can only expunge a not guilty, a null promise, a step, or PDJ. If you have a criminal conviction, we're going to discuss that in a second, that's a whole different issue. You cannot expunge a criminal conviction. Criminal conviction is when a judge says you're guilty and you got a suspended sentence, or you got time. If the judge says 30 days suspended, 18 months probation, you may have left the court thinking I got off. It's a conviction. It stays on your record forever. There's only a couple of ways to get around that. I'll get into that in a second. If it's a step, null pros, anything like that, click the box, sign it, date it. It's got a box in here for an attorney. You don't need that. You don't need to have a lawyer do this. It's not a requirement. It's just there if the lawyer does it. As an example, if I represent someone, if the case gets thrown out of court, before we leave the courthouse, I grab these and I fill them out for the guy and hand it to him. And then a year later, when the guy comes back, he forgot to file it, or strangled it. But you don't need to have a lawyer. The second page on here is called a waiver. This has to be filed with the application for expungement. The waiver means you're not going to sue the cop who locked you up. If you're really upset about that, the cop locked you up, it's a false arrest, you spent the night in jail, or you're lucky the commissioner saw you, recog you after about 4 or 5 hours. You know, it may have been wrong, but the reality is, if you want to sue the cop, really no lawyer is going to take that case, because there's no damages. You sat in jail for a couple hours, overnight, didn't affect it. On the other hand, you have torn a false arrest, the cop broke your arm, knocked your eye out or something like that. You may not want to do the expungement because you may want to sue the cop for the damages. So that's just a judgment call you guys have to make in this process. 99.9% of the time, sign the waiver and get the process going. Once you file it, if it's at the district court, the court's going to charge you $30 a pop. That's just the way they roll. Now, you can do something, you can a document, you can file a request to waive it. The court system considers $30 to be a nominal amount of processing documents. It's a filing fee that has to be paid. Once you file the documents, it will take 90 to 120 days to get this thing done. So the minute you file it, don't think that it's a done deal. It actually has to go to a judge for approval. If the judge signs off on this, the local jurisdictions have to be notified, the state police, the city police, NCIC, all these agencies have to be notified. If the judge signs off on this, we will start getting in the mail documents called certificates of compliance. It's just basically saying, Baltimore City Police will send you a document. We have destroyed all evidence that we have in our files about this case. I can tell you right now, as I stand here, it's total BS. They do destroy some of the stuff, but they won't destroy fingerprints, they won't destroy mug shots. If you get a DNA sample, they say they destroy that, but magically they pop up later on. So I'm just saying, they say that, and they might do it, but you know, it wasn't born yesterday. What you are trying to accomplish with this is to get your name out of this system. Now, for steps, PBJs, you gotta wait a period of time until probation is over. It sets 3 years, so it's not done right away, but I'm gonna show you a way to get that done. In terms of not notice of dismissals, do any of you guys have any questions about how to fill out this paper? It's pretty simple. Now here's the deal with convictions. If you got a conviction, you got jail time, suspended sentence, even a fine on a finding of guilt, you may have some issues getting this off your record. You're going to have substantial issues. If you have a lawyer, what the lawyer was supposed to have done with the conviction is file a motion to modify with the judge. That's a written motion asking the judge to keep this guy's case open until he completes his probation. If he gets through his probation, okay. Let me bring him back, take away the conviction, give him a PBJ, probation before judgment, and date the probation before judgment on the date of the conviction. Hope it's the guy who filed the expungement. In Maryland, that has to be filed within 90 days of the day that you're in front of the judge. If you don't file it within 90 days, the judge no longer has jurisdiction to hear it. They can't do anything about it. So if you guys are within 90 days, do a motion, and you can do it on that last piece of paper I have here, which is basically the district court form. You just fill it out. It's just a motion. And you just handwrite in there, please keep my case open, motion to modify it. Sign it, date it. You gotta get a copy of this to the state's attorney's office. You can hand deliver that to the state's attorney in the courthouse. Again, you don't need a lawyer to do that. If you're getting hung up on a step and a PBJ, you got the step or PBJ a year or two ago, and you're applying for a job, and you're getting knocked out of the box, and you think everything is okay except that step or PBJ is okay. You can file this petition for expungement. This may work 50% of the time. You can file the petition for expungement early. Write in a motion to the judge. Please consider this early for the following reasons. I'm applying for work. I'm getting turned down because of this step. I'm applying for work. I got a probation before judgment. My probation agent says I'm doing great. They want to release me on probation. If you got something that shows a job application, attach it to this. Because judges love paper. And fundamentally, except for a small group of judges, let's say here in Baltimore City, fundamentally a lot of judges want to help you out. There's a couple that don't, but there's a lot that do. So this is the process. When you go to the circuit court, it's the same paperwork. Circuit court varies jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Some are free, some charge $100. That's just the way they do it. So, do you have any questions about how to do this? I'm not suggesting this with you. Attempted murder, first degree assault, second degree assault, handgun, use of a handgun, whatever it may be. That's one case that's 30 bucks. That's all. Really, the process is so easy. I'm not putting anybody's name into privacy and stuff. You can actually punch your name in and see what's in there. Let me just say this. As a defense attorney, you know, I go ballistic. I don't yell at people or anything like that, but I kind of go ballistic when a client comes in or a witness comes in, and I run their record, and I'll see 8 or 9 entries, and you know, there might be a theft in there. The guy got a conviction on, or misdemeanor drug possession, something like that. But 7 of the entries are things that shouldn't be on there. In case the state dismissed the charges, they shouldn't be there. The effect is, it's not a conviction. But if an individual gets arrested, the court commissioner looks at this record, and it may only be 1 misdemeanor theft, but they're going to see like 8 or 9 entries. And I'm not suggesting any of you guys are going to get arrested. I'm just saying this is a common sense approach to this thing. You may go from a recog to a $25,000 bail, or a $25,000 bail to a $150,000 bail, only because of the entry of these prior arrests that shouldn't be on there to begin with. So, you know, I'm just saying, this is something that you need to do. I'll also say this. I was sort of joking about a 10-year-old doing this. I'm telling you, a 10-year-old can look this up. Your kids can do it, your nephews, your moms, your dads. Don't think for a second that employers don't do this. It takes 30 seconds to access this, and an employer would be negligent if they didn't do this when they're trying to hire somebody. And from what I understand right now, FedEx is starting to, they're talking about a huge distribution system out where Sparrows Point used to be. We may be getting hundreds, if not 1,000 jobs open up. These guys are going to be running records. If you got a single entry for a theft, a single entry for a misdemeanor drug possession, if you can't get off the record, you can talk your way around it. 8 years ago, I made a mistake. Here's what happened. You can't talk your way around 8 arrests, 7 arrests. They just don't want to deal with it. So, I mean, it just makes common sense. If they want you, and we do want you to get this stuff off your record, get it off your record. I mean, it's an easy thing to do. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off.
What charges can't be expunged?
They're expunged a murder if you're found out guilty. They're not worried about the charges. It's the disposition. Was the case thrown out? Was it dismissed where you found not guilty? It could be the worst crime in the world. If you're found not guilty, you can get it off the record. Where I think a lot of guys get jammed up for 8, 9 years ago, as I said earlier, a guy goes to court, something happens, he's not really sure, either as a public defender or an attorney, or he went there without a lawyer, and the judge kind of said stuff he doesn't really know, and he came out going, nothing happened, I got unsupervised probation, I beat the case. We look at it, and when you're looking to see, it was actually 6 months suspended, 2 years probation, unsupervised. It's a conviction. So you got to just be on top of this stuff. Any other questions about this? Yes, sir.
Well, in my past, they would say it was hard.
I can't hear you.
It's in the past, I had friends of mine who tried to get jobs, like they were in security. They had felonies. And they said the only way to get a felon on their record was to go through
Pardon?
get a pardon.
Here's the reality of the pardon. I won't do it. I won't touch it. Because to effectively do a pardon, you probably have to charge a guy between 10 and 15,000, if not more. The reality is less than 1% of pardon applications are granted by the governor. Generally speaking, it's kind of dishonest to take a pardon application unless the guy, somebody like maybe John, who years ago got in trouble and he's become a pillar of the community, or so he claims. And he's got plenty of people that go back to him. But the reality is, the interesting thing, a pardon's granted by the governor, so there is a political aspect to this. Hardly any Democratic governor has granted pardons. O'Malley, Schaefer, then Harry Hughes, going back. The weird thing is, don't ask me why this is, because I don't know. Republican governors have a tendency to parole more people on life sentences. They have a tendency to grant more pardons. I don't know why that is. Carolyn gave a number of them. I can't predict the voting. I really don't know. But there's a political aspect to the pardons as well. The only other way to get rid of a conviction, if the attorney didn't file that motion, remember I called that a 90-day motion? Maryland courts have recently started to accept a thing called a petition for quorum notice. You can also file a post-conviction petition against your attorney for failing to file that motion. If you didn't have a lawyer, you can't post-convict yourself. You screwed that up. But if you have a conviction from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and there's no other way to get rid of it, and your attorney did not file a motion to modify the sentence within 90 days when you court, you can get a lawyer to file a post-conviction complaint. Basically, what you say to a judge is, let me now file this. My attorney was incompetent for not filing this. This is what every lawyer should do. The writ of quorum notice is very technical. It can be very expensive. Some judges will grant it. It's basically saying, here's a Hail Mary pass. If you get the right judge, nothing else is worth. This is a great guy. Grant him this special relief when he can come back. And that was real popular up until about a year ago. Now judges are getting tired of it. But there are ways to do it. What I'm talking about is a simplistic way of basic expungements. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
That's this Maryland case search.
Yes.
I done been on it before. Mine, like I see like different stuff, like maybe traffic court stuff like that. How you get that stuff on this right here, or it's like
Traffic's a different animal.
yeah.
My understanding of traffic is 10 years without a ticket. You go to the MPA, and any full-service MPA, they have documents there to get that off your record. I think that's what I did. I used to be a prosecutor when I was a young kid. I remember when I first got my first big pay raise, I did what every smart guy does. And I bought a real fast car. So I got a bunch of tickets, and my driver record was terrible. My recollection is I went to the MPA a couple years later and got everything taken off. It was 3 years. It may not be, used to be 10, it may actually be 5, like somewhere around. You can't get that taken off. Serious matters, key lines, driving without insurance, that might be a different animal. That's a completely different thing. I don't think most employers are going to be worried about traffic tickets, but something serious.
New laws that came in back for $50.
And what?
Any new laws that came in favor.
Favor?
Yeah,
There's never going to be a law.
I heard of something going when I had 7 points or something.
There's all sorts. Oh, can I just back up for 1 second? All this is state, federal, it's completely different. If you're trying to expunge anything in federal court, good luck and God bless. That's probably not going to happen. The other thing is, when they run the case search, federal stuff does not show up.
They were together in the Champions. We had our speaker, Mr. John Hassett, defense attorney in Baltimore. very, very gifted in his craft. Has a lot of experience from both sides of the spectrum. His story is very interesting. He came today and shared with the guy with the Champions of Monarch School. And I want you to know that he blessed and touched a lot of men. And I just want to thank him. But I think overall the men walked away with a sense of empowerment as what we are supposed to do. That if we had criminal issues on the circuit level, on the district level, we've been given information even on the federal level, the things that we can do to help us to not have long-term stoppages from us advancing our lives. I think that's what we did.
Yeah, and I have to say, first of all, John, thanks a lot for inviting me here. It was a rewarding and enriching experience for me. The main thing I would ask everyone to take away from this is in terms of expunging your records, it is a very easy process. It can be done in a matter of minutes, and in all honesty, you would be foolish not to take advantage of the opportunity to get your record. Thanks again.
And I think that was the website, was Maryland Case Law.
Maryland Judiciary Case Search, accessible to anyone who's on the internet, which would be everyone in the world right now. So it's very easy to do. You go to that website, put in your name, your information, your records displayed, and you can see right away what you can or cannot have expunged.
Sansa, thank you so much.
Well,